Yes, hello and welcome to this very special occasion on the Sydney FC Facebook page. We've got a pre-game show for you ahead of the resumption of the A-League. Sydney FC entertaining Wellington Phoenix at a rather wet and dank evening here at Jubilee Stadium. And over the next half an hour, we're going to be previewing the action for this top of the table clash. Great to have alongside me, I'm Simon Hill incidentally, in case you don't know my name. Alongside me, Luke Wilkshire, former title winner with Sydney FC back in 2018, and of course 80 times capped Socceroo as well. Good to see you, Luke. How are you?
Yeah, I'm as good as can be in these crazy times, mate. It's great to be back here and amongst live football.
Missing the football. 126 days since the last time we had an A-League game. Now we're going to have 27 games over 28 days. Can we get it finished? Fingers crossed, I guess.
Yeah, look, let's hope so. It's fantastic to finally be back. I think everyone's been waiting for this, and myself, yourself, players included, that's for sure, and fans. So it's a football feast now, and long may that continue.
And what a tasty way to start, of course, as well. First against third, Sydney FC against Wellington Phoenix. And the Sky Blues, of course, could clinch the Premiership as soon as Tuesday if they can win tonight and also defeat the Newcastle Jets here on Tuesday evening. We want your involvement, of course, tonight as well. Use the hashtag SydneyFC. There's plenty of others. Hashtag SydVWell. Sydney is Sky Blue. You know the regime, you know the drill. So we'd like to hear from you. You can ask a question of me or Luke if you like. In the meantime, we're going to preview this game and talk about the season in general, Luke, because, of course, across the competition, a lot of players, big name players, the likes of Ulla Toivonen, Diego Castro, Panayotis Kone, they're either not coming back or they've decided not to play for health reasons. It's going to be strange, isn't it, for the players as well, playing in front of empty stadiums? It
is. These are unprecedented times. No one expected this, and everybody's in different situations. So you've got to respect that at this sort of time. And I'm just glad that football's back. And it's a great opportunity for possibly some of the younger Australian players coming through.
What about Sydney FC? I'm sure you stay in contact with quite a few players from this club. How have they been over the break, if you can call it that, and are they ready to go again and add the Premiership to the Championship they won last year?
Yeah, look, I believe the position they're in, they will do that. Obviously it's not been ideal, the preparations, it's been as good as it can be, I believe. And I'm sure they're fit. I'm just curious to see just how match fit they are. You can have in-house games and you can do all that sort of thing, but to have real game days and the intensity that you get on these games, it's hard to replicate sometimes, so it'll be interesting to see. That
match fitness is crucial, isn't it? I suppose the fear is across the competition. We've seen this in some of the other sports, that you tend to pick up injuries and then that can impact upon who wins the silverware, particularly the finals later on in the season.
Definitely. I think injuries can really hamper teams in this time, and you can, like I say, you can do all that preparation and training, but to really get the intensity you get on these match days, you can't get it in house games.
A couple of changes that we're having as well for the resumption of the A-League. 5 substitutes to be used off the bench and no VAR, which pleases me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I've got no problem with that. I think, look, VAR, it is what it is, but for me, if there's an honest mistake, human error, you can live with it. But when we're getting errors in VAR, it's a little bit tougher to take.
Okay, well, we won't have that tonight. We might have it back for the finals. That is the rumour, but we shall wait and see. As for tonight's game, Sydney FC probably are the favourites. They've only lost one of the last 11 meetings against Wellington Phoenix, but the two affairs this season have been pretty tight ones. You might remember that Sydney FC won by 2-1 back in the early part of the campaign at Leichhardt Oval, and then they played out a 2-2 draw across in New Zealand. So a very interesting matchup tonight. Let's hear now from the Sydney FC head coach Steve Corica, his thoughts ahead of the match. He's in conversation with Dave Warrener.
Well, Steve, first game back, and it probably couldn't have got much bigger, possibly the biggest of the season so far.
Yeah, after a four-month period off, first game back is against Wellington, which are third in the league, and hoping to become second as it goes along. So we're looking forward to the match. It's been a long time between drinks, but an exciting encounter.
Of course, if you win the tie, they're going to have to do a hell of a lot to grasp that Premier's plate from you. Is that something that you're considering going into it?
I think we just take each game as it comes. Obviously, this is a very important game for us to pick up 3 points. There's 6 games left. We want to win them all. It's not just this one. It's moving forward, having a good run into the final series and winning the grand final again. Our goals hasn't changed over this 4 months period. It's just refreshing the boys of what we want to achieve.
How have they been looking in training this week?
Very good, actually. You can tell it's a game week. Everything lifts, the standard lifts. We've had a very good 4-week pre-season. They've all worked very hard. We got them to as fit as they can be in this 4-week period, and only a couple of little niggly injuries, which is great from obviously our high performance staff and medical staff. They've done a great job.
You've left Michael Zullo and Alexander Beaumihan on the bench. Any particular reasons behind that?
Joel King's been doing a great job at left back, and Caceres is looking very good at the moment as well. So we have 2 games in 4 days. So I'm sure they're raring to go and raring to start. So they'll play in one of the games.
In terms of the opposition tonight, of course, your old friend Ufuk Talay, who was here last season as the assistant, the fact that you know him and he knows you, and you probably both know how each other like to play football, does that help or hinder tonight's match play?
Well, it's pretty hard actually, because obviously he did spend last year here, so he knows the way we play. We know the way they play because they play very similar to us. So he's done a great job this year, Uffy, getting them into the 3rd spot at the moment, and obviously want to move up to at least 2nd. But yeah, it's a cagey one, I think. They've got a lot of good players. It's first game back, so it's a little bit unknown of how everyone's going to come back. But both teams will be fighting out to get the win.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, the thoughts of Steve Corica, head coach of Sydney FC. What a job Steve has done at this football club, Luke. If you remember when Graham Arnold left, there were a lot of people saying, well, I'm not sure that Stevie is the right successor to Arnie, but he's done it in his own way and just continued on that good work. They're champions, they're on the brink of the Premiership again.
Yeah, he has. He's done fantastic, and like I say, there was a lot of question marks. Obviously, what Arnie had done and leaving, and whether Bimby could come in and continue in that way. And credit to him, he's put his little flavour to it and brought in the right people, which I think was an important part of Arnie's reign as well, finding the right, not just players, but people to come into the club, and he's done that well. And he's kept them moving along. It's been a fantastic job for him, and I think Sydney FC have made a great decision by bringing him in. Any
other noticeable differences that you can see apart from those tweaks in personnel?
Look, I don't think there's massive differences, and it wasn't broke, so there's no reason to
If
try
it
and
ain't broke, don't
fix it.
fix it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and but in saying that, he's brought his own thing to it, and like I say, in bringing in those players that he's brought in, and that can be a tricky thing with sometimes with the foreign players, getting the right ones in that are going to fit into not just your playing style, but also within the group and the culture that they have there.
Okay, don't forget, we want to hear your views as well. Hashtag Sydney FC or hashtag Sydney is Sky Blue, Sid v Well, whichever way you want to get in contact with us. I'm putting the bins on because we've got the team news for you. The lineups for Sydney FC: Andrew Redmayne in goal, Ryan Grant and Ryan Mcgowan, Alex Wilkinson and Joel King. That's the defensive lineup. Luke Bratton and Paolo Retre, the 2 central midfielders. Anthony Caceres and Milos Ninkovic, Costa Barbarouses and Adam Lafondra. That's the starting 11 with Alexander Baum-Johan on the bench along with Michael Zullo, which I know you had a bit of a smile about, Luke. You do rib Michael Zullo for not playing any games. In terms of that starting 11 for Steve, one of the big reasons behind his success is he has a settled team. I suppose the interesting one today is Caceres over Baum-Johan.
Yeah, look, he's obviously got the nod. Previously you've seen whether it could be Baumgartner or Caceres, with Ninkovic. Obviously if Ninko's not there, then you'll play both of them. So he's got the nod. I think they're 2 very similar players. I think he'll do a good job. Obviously he's impressed. Bimby coming back into it, and I think he'll link up well with Lafondra and Barbarouses up top.
And you're pleased that Joel King gets another start because, of course, he's a Shell Harbour boy, which is your neck of the woods.
He's a Wollongong boy. He's a young boy who's done really well. He's taken his chance. Obviously, Zul's has had his injuries. It's good to see he's at least back fit, although not on the pitch. So I'll give him credit that at least he's on the bench and involved in the squad. But credit to Joel King to keep someone like Zullo out of the team.
Yeah, he's had a good season, hasn't he, the youngster? In terms of Wellington Phoenix, Stefan Marinovic is in goal. Louis Fenton returns at right back. Excuse me, he's been out injured for quite some time. Stephen Taylor, Luke De Vere are the 2 central defenders. Liberato Cacace has had an excellent season. A lot of rumours that he might be off to Europe pretty soon. He's at left back. Matty Steinman and Alex Rufer in midfield. Josh Sotirio, David Ball, who will play in the hole. Reno Piscopo on the left. And youngster Ben Wayne up top. Ulysses Davila and Gary Hooper are on the bench for Ufuk Tale's team. We'll talk more about Wellington Phoenix in a moment, but Luke, I want to ask you about Sydney FC's main man up top. That is Adam Le Fondre. He's had another great campaign, 17 goals this season, 18 last, and he plays his 50th game tonight. Let's have a look at some of his highlights, the Englishman.
Blasted into the roof of the net. The first goal of the new A-League campaign goes the way of the Englishman. Lovely ball, chance for two. A tap in for Le Fondre. Sydney double their lead. Sydney to operate in and about. The other hand finds Grants. Oh, that's a lovely finish. It's Brandon O'Neill with the corner. Headed goalwards and in.
It's Adam Le Fondre, and he rifles it straight in the back of the net, and the Sky Blues lead early in Perth.
Fielder will deliver. Mcgowan deep. Header is in. Adam Le Fondre. Mcgowan. Oh, great ball, and make it two. Barbarouses, and the deflection. Le Fondre. Sydney FC already in front, and in behind. Beautifully weighted pass. Here's Le Fondre. Beautiful work. And the slip kept Mahaja onside. Looking to turn provider. Oh, they make it 5! Adam Le Fondre does have his hat-trick.
Barbarouses tries to help it on towards Le Fondre, and he's got there as he is!
And delivers. Blubber comes. Brings it down. Oh, what a clearance. Delbridge still alive here. Oh, it's in! And they equalise with 10 men.
Barbarouses, Sydney threatening, and now they lead. It's as simple as that. That's just what the champions do, and it's Adam Le Fondre. Gets around Traore, and the tap-in is there for Adam Le Fondre. No flag against the Englishman, and it is 14 for the season for Alfie, and 3-3 at Amy Park.
All campaign, Le Fondre always goes with power, and Jamie Young can't keep an ounce. The Sky Blues on track for 3 more points. Le Fondre, oh, cheeky, and in! 2 goals in 2 minutes for Sydney FC.
Plays it into a nice area. Barbarouses, good save, Lopa. Tapping over Adam Le Fondre, and Sydney take the lead.
Yeah, another great season for Adam Le Fondre. He's far and away Sydney FC's top goal scorer, and just one behind Jamie Maclaren in that race for the A-League Golden Boot overall. How good is he, Luke, in the context of the A-League?
Yeah, well, his goal scoring record shows that he's one of the best strikers in the league. There's no doubt about that. You know, not just last year, but then to back it up again this year. He's a goal scorer. It's simple as that. He's got that knack. You know, it's something that sometimes can't be coached. It's just that feeling, and he doesn't score that many spectacular goals. Although he did when I had a pre-season friendly game against Sydney FC. He scored a cracker, but no, he's always one in the box. He's jolly in the box, and he knows how to finish.
49 games, 50th tonight, 35 goals. I think those stats pretty much speak for themselves. Is Stephen Taylor the man that's going to be detailed to look after him tonight? But he doesn't really play that way against the big centre. He likes to drop off the shoulder or drag the defenders out of position, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And, you know, you wouldn't want to stand up against someone like Steve Taylor. He's, you know, he's a presence there. He's a good defender. He's a solid defender. But I'm sure he'll be keeping a tight eye on Alfie, and Alfie will be doing all he can to get away from him. I think that'll be one of the key battles tonight in this game.
And I suppose it's also a tribute to Sydney FC's recruitment policy. I mean, you think back a couple of seasons, Bobo left the club after that wonderful season. He scored 27, which is still an A-League record in a single campaign. And everybody said, well, where are the goals going to come from? Boom, they went out and picked up another one off the shelf.
Yeah, 100%. I think, you know, he's come in, he had big shoes to fill. And obviously, Bobo had an unbelievable record, and Alfie's not quite there, but, you know, in what you want from your striker, he's given enough.
Have they had to change the way that they play a little bit because of Costa Barbarouses' arrival and playing up top alongside Le Fondre?
It's definitely changed a little bit. You know, obviously with Broski, when he was there, he'd drop a lot deeper. into that 10 role more so than up higher, as Barbarouses likes to get. But it's worked, and Sydney FC's where they are for a reason, playing good football, scoring goals, and rightly so.
Well, we'll see if Alfie gets another sausage roll, as he calls them, tonight against Wellington Phoenix. Let's hear from him now. He's talking with Dave Warner.
Well, Adam, after 4 months without a game, how does it feel to be back and playing?
It's been working up to this point, and we're all eager to go, and no more than me. I'm desperate to get back on the goal trail and finish the job off with the Premiership. Really.
Do you feel any difference going to this game than you did the last one 4 months ago?
Not too particularly. I'm used to a shorter pre-season. I'm just not used to doing two in one season. But needs must. At the end of the day, we've got to do what we've got to do to get the job done, and I'm fit and raring to go.
You've already scored against Wellington once this season. How much confidence do you take going into scoring again in this game?
Always, no matter who I'm playing, I'm always confident I'm going to score. I think that's just the way I am as a player and as a person. So, it's no different to me going into the game. Providing I get chances, I'll score goals, and that's what I've always said since I was about 18 to all the way now, and it doesn't change.
We'll talk a little bit more about the players around Adam Le Fondre, because obviously every good striker, Luke, relies on a bit of service, and tonight you're probably looking at the likes of Caceres and Milos Ninkovic, of course. 5 years to the day, incidentally, today that Milos signed for the club from Red Star Belgrade, Hrvina Svesta, to give it its proper title. They've been supplying the bullets for the likes of Barbarouses and Le Fondre, and they've been consistent at doing it. Bam Johan as well, of course.
Yeah, they have, and look, those three players have got creativity in them. You look at Luke Bratton also, who can find a pass, I think. But crucial is Ninkovic. He's like a fine wine, but he's just got that quality and that. The way he moves with the ball, he can find a pass, and I think every striker, I don't think you'd find a striker, it's definitely not in Australia, that wouldn't want to play with someone like him.
Interesting you mentioned Luke Bratton there as well. The central midfield partnership at Sydney FC for so long, you could almost write it in stone. O'Neill, Brillante, O'Neill. Now it's Bratton and Rattray, and occasionally one or two other Caceres has played there as well. Yep. But they barely missed a beat. How have they managed to do that? Is that because the structures and the system is so strong?
Yeah, it is, but I think Bratton took a little bit of time to find his feet and really get going. But Paulo Rattray's come in. He's been around the club for a while. He's seen Branners and Joshy play there in that position. He's got that quality. He's bided his time, and I guess this is his time now to really stake a claim and to stay in there. And I think they've formed a really good partnership, and I think that's one that could last a long time.
I think Graham Arnold called Paulo Rattray the bargain buyer of the season when he brought him in. Is that a fair call? I mean, he's played in so many different positions for the club as well.
I think it is. From the time I had a year there with him, he was in and out of the side every now and then, and he's got quality and he's got a great attitude. He's got an engine on him. He can play probably anywhere on the park, and and he has bided his time. He could have probably gone somewhere else to play more regularly, but he's stuck in there, and he's getting his rewards now.
Well, Wellington Phoenix have certainly had their rewards this season. They're currently in third place on the ladder. They could even be second tonight if they can get the 3 points. They were in really good nick as well going into the COVID break, only losing twice in their last 16 matches and winning their last 4, conceding just 1. What's been the difference? I mean, they had a good year last year under Marc Ruden, the Phoenix, but why has Ufuk Talay been able to take them to the next level, do you think?
Yeah, look, I think credit to Uf. He's brought in again. He's brought in some good players. They're young and they're hungry, and I think the kind of football they're playing is different this year. They're good to watch. They're entertaining. So it's that hunger. You can see that hunger and that desire within the squad, and and they started slow, but you look at the form, like you said before the break. I think they're the ones going into the playoffs are going to really, Sydney FC will be keeping an eye on.
Indeed, and they're probably, with respect to Melbourne City, the only team that could stop Sydney FC from lifting the Premiership. They have to really win tonight because Melbourne City, who are in second, have played 3 games more, of course. In terms of Wellington tonight, Ulysses Davila is on the bench. I'm sure we'll see him at some point. I think that's because he's been late back into camp. He's been in quarantine, so he hasn't trained as much. But what a weapon to have in reserve. I mean, this player is one of the best in the competition. I think he's a good shout for the Johnny Warren medal. I don't know whether you agree.
Yeah, look, he's been a breath of fresh air. I think, like you talk about that creativity and that spark and quality that he has and possesses. Sydney will be delighted to see him on the bench, although preparing for the fact that he will come on at some stage. That's a massive loss for me for Wellington tonight.
Sometimes when you look at players like Davila, and we know that he signed that 5-year contract with Chelsea, didn't ever play for the Navy Blues, but they must have spotted that quality at an early age, and yet he's led a sort of eclectic career since then, going from country to country, and all of a sudden he's ended up in the A-League, playing in New Zealand, and you look at his quality and think, really, you should be playing in a top European competition.
He should, but you look at that and I give credit to Ufi because obviously he's unlocked that in him. That could be a personality issue that he has, and that's important that they're happy and they fit into a way someone wants to play and believe. And I think, Ufi's got that out of him, and then you see the quality that he's got, and I've got no doubt that he can play a higher level than the A-League.
And not just Davila on the bench, but also Gary Hooper, who scored a bucket load of goals, as we know, over in the UK, particularly for Celtic and for Norwich and 1 or 2 other clubs besides. So they have dangerous weapons on the bench. What they don't have in midfield tonight is ex-Sydney FC defensive screener Cameron Devlin, who's out through suspension. He's accrued 5 yellow cards. Alex Rufer will take his place alongside Matti Steinman. Do they lose anything with that switch for you?
Yeah, Cameron Devlin had been having a fantastic season, and he'll be devastated not to be coming back here to play against his former team and open up the door for Rufer to take his position back, because ultimately he took that position from Rufer, and the way he performed didn't allow Rufer to get back in the squad. And it's great for Ufi when you got competition for places, and but naturally I think they're going to miss him because the sort of form that he was in pre-COVID was electrifying.
A couple more questions on Wellington before we finish. Reno Piscopo, we know him, he's Australian, played for the Olyroos, was a standout in Graham Arnold's squad that got to the finals in Japan. Goodness knows when they'll ever take place. But he's an exciting talent, isn't he? And you can see again the pedigree that's forced a club like Inter to go and take him as a junior.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see these young players coming through. I think again he's one who's got that something special about him, and he can unlock defences, and it's great to see these guys getting an opportunity and to be playing regularly in the A-League.
Liberato Cacace and Ben Waine, 2 other promising youngsters. They both start tonight. Waine up top. Cacace, of course, will play at left back. I think he'll be in Europe next year. I think he's the most outstanding talent we have in this competition. That's a big rap from me. Do you agree?
It is. Yeah, look, from what I've seen pre-COVID, for sure. The sort of age that he's at, the way he's performing. You look at Singh, who went to Bayern Munich.
Sarpreet Singh.
Yeah. And these opportunities that can come, it's the world's his oysters, you could say.
Okay, we're building up to kick-off. Let's talk about some Sydney FC players. Ryan Grant in particular, the system that Steve Corica plays. Luke, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat at the moment, and you know it very well, but the fullbacks are so important, and we know what Ryan Grant brings the team, up and down, engine, crossing, tackling, trying to set up goals. How difficult is that role for a fullback to play in this system?
It's enjoyable. It's a modern day fullback.
Yeah.
It's not just about defending, and you've got to have that engine to get up and back, and you've got to be able to deliver and to create goals. I think I always had my way when I went to right back. I never wanted to defend, so if I didn't want to defend as a right back, then the left winger certainly didn't want to defend. So the more you can get him going the other way, the worse his night is and the better yours is, because and Ryan is the same, very similar to me, likes to be in attack, so he'd rather be up the field than back defending.
Ryan is 29 now. Have we yet to see the best of Ryan Grant? Does he eventually go to Europe? Certainly seems to be good enough.
I think he's probably coming to his peak. He's in those years, normally from 27, 28 onwards, probably 32, I'd say, your peak years. So he's in great form, obviously fit and injury-free, which is fantastic. And, I think if he's going to go to Europe, then the next year or two is going to be very crucial for that.
Interesting to see how he goes against Reno Piscopo tonight, his direct opponent. That could be a key battle as well. Grant, of course, part of a very tight Sydney FC defence, which also includes maybe one of the unsung heroes of the team in Ryan Mcgowan. Now, you think back to last season, Luke, and Job van der Linden came to the club, didn't really work out. And one of the things Sydney FC do very well is in terms of their recruitment. They spot a problem, and if there is one, they fix it pretty quickly. They've done that with Ryan Mcgowan.
Yeah, they did. Obviously, when Jordy Boyce left, it was a bit of a hole there. And Ryan McGowan's come in. He knows Wilco. They've played together in the national team. he fits right in terms of the culture and the players and knowing that. And he's just missed a steady away. He's not going to do anything spectacular. He's not going to be a 9 out of 10 in a game, but he's just going to be Mr. Consistent, a little bit like Wilco.
Only just back in the country as well. Ryan Mcgowan, his wife's just given birth, so that's commitment to the cause, isn't it, in terms of Sydney FC. We're not too far away from kick-off here. We're going to wrap things up on this online pre-game show. Luke, in terms of a prediction, I assume you're going to say Sydney FC are going to win?
Yeah, look, Sydney at home. I just can't see Wellington getting anything out of this one, although I'm sure it's going to be an entertaining game because both teams like to play. Right,
well, let's hope for an entertaining game. I think Sydney FC will probably edge it as well. If you've enjoyed this online pre-game show, then please do join us again on Tuesday night. We'll be doing exactly the same thing ahead of the match against the Newcastle Jets, and who knows, that could be the nights that Sydney FC are crowned the premiers. In the meantime, the game is coming up. Of course, you can watch it on Fox Sports Channel 507 or on KO Sports, or you can download the MyFootball app as well. I hope you enjoyed the show. Hope the Sky Blues do well tonight. And from Luke Wilkshire and myself, Simon Hill, very good night to you.